Welcome to this very special Furlongs and Horses video. My name is Rachel, and you can find me at my blog, furlongdrive.blogspot.com. Yeah, I'm just giving my regular blog today because, as I said, this is a very special video in the fact that this is not a regular win in your in video as I've been doing the past like 2 months or so. This is actually not a win and run race. It probably should be, but it's not because the Haskell is. This is for the Travelers. Of course, this is the big Midsummer Derby, as it's called. It is at 1.25 miles on dirt at Saratoga, grade 1 for 3-year-olds. There's a field of 10 entered into this year's race, so let's go ahead and take a look at this year's Travers Stakes field. Number 1 is Commanding Curve. He'll be ridden by Sean Bridgmohan and Dallas Stewart Trains. He's by Master Command. Runner-up in the Derby in May, and then he was 9th in the Belmont. In his last start, he was 4th in the Jim Dandy. Besides the Jim Dandy, he does have one other start at Saratoga, which was a 6th place finish in his debut. And it did take him a while to break his maiden. That being said, even though he has 2 Saratoga starts, he is going backwards. And that he's not been running well since the Derby. He ran basically the race of his life to finish 2nd to California Chrome in the Kentucky Derby. So I think the magic has worn off of him. He's an okay horse. He's not a great horse, though. And I think he is one of 2 horses in this race who have no chance to win. And this is a pretty good field. It's not the best field ever, but it's pretty good. There are several horses in here who have great chances to win. Commanding Curve is not one of them, though. Number 2 is Bayern. He's by Awfully Wild, and Martin Garcia will ride for Bob Baffert. Won the Haskell and Woody Stevens after a 9th place finish in the Preakness. This will be his Saratoga debut, and all of his starts have been this year. My biggest concern is that if he gets a very loose lead, he can wire them. He is probably the lone speed in the race, although I'm hoping a couple of the other horses who have shown speed in the past possibly to go up and just nuisance him a little bit. But he's by a sire who's 1.25 miles. His broodmare sire is 1.25 miles. So, in theory, the 1.25 mile distance should not be a problem with him. That being said, he only beat one horse in the Preakness, and that was Rio Antonia, who is been basically destroyed since being moved around her several trainers. Probably should not have gone in Oaks and then was moved and went in the Preakness, and that was a total disaster. And she's not even been anywhere close to winning since, which is sad because she did win via DQ, I should mention, the juvenile fillies. Still, her owner has basically taken a very nice horse and just ruined her career. So, and that was at the Preakness was a 16th shorter than this distance. And Byron didn't really show up in that race. Wait, Stevens, he showed up, he beat Social Inclusion, who was third in the Preakness, so that's not a disservice to Social Inclusion. But honestly, I don't know what he really beat in the Haskell because Albano is not in the Travers, and Wildcat Red does not want 10 furlongs. So it's going. He seems to be kind of one of those horses that you're not really sure about. And I'm not 100% sure he's the type of horse who can win, especially against the 1-2-3 from the Jim Dandy. But if he gets to lose the lead, as I said, he will most likely be your winner. Number 3 is Charge Now. Junior Alvarado will ride for Belmont. He is by Tiz now. Second in the Curlin after the 7th in the Iowa Derby, and then he won an allowance before his Iowa Derby win in 7th. This will be his Saratoga debut, but the 1.25 miles should not be a problem for him either. Other than being by a 2-time classic winner. His half brother is Super Saver. So this is the same family as Bluegrass Cat as well. If there's any concern that I have, it's that in the Alabama last week, I chose a family member of his, Got Lucky, who did not run at all. But the thing that has me a little bit less concerned is that Super Saver has a stakes winner at Saratoga, and I Spent It. He won the Saratoga Special. So he's off to a great start at stud. I'm hoping Charge Now takes after his brother, who was pretty good at 2, okay at 3, other than his Derby win, he really didn't do much. But the fact that he's coming in off the 2nd place, and Super Saver went into the Derby off a 2nd place finish, I think could help him quite a bit. So I like Charge Now, but I am not going to put him in my top 3, only because he is taking a step up in class, but I just feel like that he's not quite ready for the big time. Just quite yet. Number 4 is V.E. Day. Javier Castellano will ride for Jimmy Jerkins, and he is by English Channel, which off the bat should mean that he should be on turf and not dirt. But he is a dirt runner, which is not surprising when you think about it as a whole. English Channel's full brother, Sedgefield, ran pretty decently in the Derby in 07. And he was actually also second in the Lane's End, which of course is now the Spiral, to to another sire who was in the race. This race with a horse, actually, believe it or not, V.E. Day's stablemate, but I will talk about him in a little bit. So he won the Curlin in the last in the allowance, and then he broke his maiden. His stablemate, as I said, is also in this race, and this is going to be his greatest stakes debut. He is actually bred very similarly to Curlin. If you take out English Channel is by Smart Strike, and Curlin's by Smart Strike. Curlin is out of a deputy minister mare, and as is V.E. Day. So that's why I say similarly, but not quite the same because of English Channel. Of course, distance won't be a problem. English Channel won at a mile and a half. So my concern is that because this is going to be his greatest stakes debut, that he won't run as well as he did in the Curlin and the Allowance. I think he has a good chance to upset the apple cart, along with the next horse that I will talk about in a few minutes. But he could be a horse down the road um, that will be a major factor into divisional titles. Maybe not this year, but definitely by next year. Number 5 is Viva Majorca. I'm going to say Majorca, Raka or something like that. Viva Majorca. Julian Leparoux will ride for Ian Wilkes. He is by Tiago. Of course, Tiago is the half-brother to 04 Derby winner Giacomo. He was 4th in the Curlin and won an allowance, and he was 2nd in allowance in his last 3 starts. This is his greatest stakes debut. On paper, it looks like that he is over his head. But however, he was bred to run all day. Of course, having Tiago as a sire will be very helpful. And another reason why I think he has a chance to win over like Commanding Curve and another horse I'll talk about in a few minutes is as well towards the end I should say, is that his owners have already won the Travers. They won in 2004 with Birdstone, and that probably would have been enough to get him 3-year-old champion if it wasn't for Smarty Jones winning both the Derby and the Preakness. And yes, California Chrome right now is the leader of the 3-year-olds, but he, like V.E. Day, could have a major say into it. I'm not going to put him in my top 3 though, only because he might end up being a type of horse where he might need like a start integrated stakes before we really know whether he's the real deal or not. So I'm gonna just leave him out of my top 3 for now. But that being said, he could have a big chance. He'll probably go off as the longest shot on the board, and there have been some surprises recently. I mean, Moreno ran a great second last year. Golden Ticket, dead heated with Alpha. Both of them were long shots. So he might be that wise guy type of horse where he can surprise a lot of people by finishing 2nd or 3rd, or maybe even win the race. I don't see it happening with Bayern and the next 2 horses that I'm going to talk about. And number 6 is one of those horses who I think has a big chance to win, and that is Tunnelist. Joel Rosario will ride for Christophe Clement. He's by Tappet. 2nd in the Jim Dandy, won the Belmont and the Peter Pan. But in the Jim Dandy, he looked like that he was spinning his wheels a little bit down the stretch to Wicked Strong, which he lost to Wicked Strong, I should say. He's going to need to improve a lot with Bayern in this race to win, though. but I'm hoping that maybe it just meant he wasn't 100% tightened up, and now he's, hopefully for this race, he'll be 100% ready to go, and he will show a much better race. He is going to be in my top 3, which shouldn't be surprising because the last 2 races, I've had him in my top 3 for both the Belmont and for the Derby. Belmont and the Jim Dandy. But hopefully he can finally show that Belmont form and move it to Saratoga. Number 7 is Wicked Strong. Rajiv Morale will ride for Jimmy Jerkins. He is by Hard Spun. That is the horse that Sedgefield, of course, was second to, and very hot sire right now. Of course, he's coming back to the U.S. this year for 2015, I should say. Son Hardest Core won the Arlington Million. And Wicked Strong might end up being a Stay Thirsty type of horse where he can only win in New York, but that's okay. He's never won outside of the state, but that doesn't mean anything. He did win the Jim Dandy, 4th in the Belmont, and then 4th in the Kentucky Derby in his last 3 starts. I think it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that he is in my top 3, knowing if you know me from Twitter, and then on my blog, you know I talk about Hard Spun a lot. I talk about several horses, I think a lot. But Hard Spun is one of those horses that I talk about. And Wicked Strong has a big chance. I think the addition to blinkers in his last race was a good move. It put him into the race earlier. If I have any concern is that I'm hoping he is one of the horses who gives Byron a little bit of nuisance, but I don't want him to give too much nuisance, because if he gives too much nuisance, that might say speed duel, and it will set up for closers, like the next horse I will talk about. But if he sits where he did in the Jim Dandy, I think he will have first shot over Tunnelist to get that lead, and hopefully hold Tunnelist off, and a couple other horses in this race. But I think the sky is the limit with him. I think he is going to be a horse who is going to be a major factor down the road as well. And he could be a Stay Thirsty, or he could be a Will Take Charge type horse. And I'm hoping he'll be a Will Take Charge. That was pretty good first half of the year, phenomenal the second half of the year. Number 8 is Kickers. Irad Ortiz Jr. rides for Linda Rice. He is by Lemon Drop Kid. 3rd in the Jim Dandy, won both Dwyer and the Easy Goer in his last 3 starts. Distance should not be a problem. Based on he's by Lemon Drop Kid, not out of Lemon Drop Kid. But his last Grade 1 stakes try was not good. He was 8th in the Preakness. So I really like him. I'm gonna take one foot off the bandwagon for this race. I just feel like he's up against it a little bit here. But I think he has an outside chance to get it done. But we'll have to see. I mean, his race in the Jim Dandy wasn't the best. He was rushed up when he did closer, and it kind of threw off his game a little bit. So I think there was a bit of a distance between him and Tunnelist. Tunnelist and him. And so it doesn't help that Wicked Strong and Tunnelist are also in this race, and he's already lost to them both. So we'll have to see what exactly happens. Number 9 is Ulaanbaatar. Brian Hernandez rides for Ian Wilkes. He is by Awfully Wild. 5th in the Jim Dandy, 3rd in the Dwyer, and then he was 2nd in Matt Win in his last 3 races. I don't think he has any chance in this race. Like Commanding Curve, I just feel like he's way over his head here. I feel like I don't know. I know he had shown promise before, but whenever he stuck up in company, his finishing has gone down. I just feel like he won't do well here at all, and it's sad because Awfully Wild hasn't had the best of luck at stud. I mean, he had a pretty good first crop and then nothing for a while, and then Bayern shows up. So I just feel like Bayern, of the two Awfully Wilds in this race, is much better, and Ulaanbaatar is going to, I think, I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes last in this race, honestly. Which is a little bit sad, but it happens. And then last but not least is number 10, Mr. Speaker, Jose Lezcano will ride for Shug McGahee. He is by Pulpit, and most of his races have been either on turf or synthetic. He does have a dirt start, where he was 7th in the Holy Bull, but Wicked Strong was also in that race, and he did not run well either. But Mr. Speaker won the Belmont Derby, which was formerly the Jamaica, 5th in the Penny Ridge, and then he won the Lexington, which is the final Derby prep. But he did not go in the Derby. Even though most of his races have been on turf and synthetic, he was bred to run well on dirt. He's by Pulpit, out of a mare who is out of Personal Ensign. And of course, Friday will be the Personal Ensign Stakes, and I will have a preview on that up later tonight. Of course, Personal Ensign, though, undefeated in her career, Breeders' Cup winner, defeated Winning Colors, the 88 Derby winner in that race. But I think he has a big chance here. Not sure if he can beat my top 2 picks or Bayern, but I think he will be on the board. He'll be at least 4th, maybe 3rd. But I'll talk about that more when I do my picks. So that is the field for the Travelers 2014. So go over the field again. Number 1 is Commanding Curve. Number 2 is Bayern. Number 3 is Charge Now. Number 4 is VE Day. Number 5 is Viva Maraca or something. I apologize if I mispronounce his name, which I did. Number 6 is Tunnelist. Number 7 is Wicked Strong. Number 8 is Key Cruz. Number 9 is Ulaanbaatar. And number 10 is Mr. Speaker. So up next will be the picks. So my picks for this year's Travelers, to win, it really shouldn't be a surprise. I'm going with Wicked Strong. I feel like that he is currently, other than Bayern, is the best horse in this race, in the fact that he loves New York, and also the fact that he won the prep, the Jim Dandy, and the past couple years, that's been a big factor into basically horses running well in the Travelers. Um, and second, it really shouldn't be also a surprise. Going with Tunnelist, I feel like that he is a much better horse than Bayern at this distance. Bayern is probably a mile and eighth horse and shorter. But as I said, if he gets to least lead, he will most likely be your winner. I just feel like that Tunnelist can beat him on the square, and I would not be surprised if he wins this race by turning the tables on Wicked Strong. But I feel like that Wicked Strong possibly will just run too well for anyone to beat him. And then in third, I don't have Kid Cruz like I had in the Jim Dandy. Instead, I have Mr. Speaker. And the reason I have him over Kid Cruz is the fact that he's already won at the mile and quarter distance. The second thing is that, yeah, he's going from turf to dirt. That is also a big factor, is that turf to dirt horses usually tend to do better than going from dirt to turf, unless turf is their preferred surface. And yeah, Holy Bowl did not go as well as they probably wanted to, but as I said before, Wicked Strong was also in that race, and he didn't run well either, and he's flourished since then, getting out of Florida. So it could have been the Florida dirt surface. But I like Mr. Speaker quite a bit here. Of course, Saratoga is known as a graveyard favorites, so that's a big reason why I have him here in third, instead of Bayern. I think Bayern will run well. I don't know if he gets challenged on the lead, he'll win. Loose lead, he'll probably win. Challenge on the lead, I don't think he will at all. So I think he will be your fourth place finisher. But those are the four who I believe can win this race. For my dark horse, I was actually going between Mr. Speaker, Viva Moragia, and I still can't pronounce his name, unfortunately, and V.E. Day. And I landed on V.E. Day in the fact that how he's bred similarly to Curlin. Mile and quarter should not be a problem for him, but I'm not 100% sold on him winning the Travelers, but I think he will be there at the end. And my dark horses haven't had the best of luck last week, but the week before I had Moreno, and Moreno won, so hopefully he's in at least the top 5, maybe the top 4, but I'm thinking he might be up against it for this race. So that is it for the Travers preview. Later tonight, I will have the personal instant preview up. That is a win and you're in for the distaff. And then on Friday, I am hopefully going to be recording the preview for the Pacific Classic, which will be featuring Shared Belief, Game on Dude, Majestic Harbor, and Clubhouse Ride probably, and several other great horses. That doesn't get drawn till tomorrow, but I wanted to get this up sooner because I'm going to be very busy the rest of the week, other than recording that video on Friday. Also this weekend, the Ballerina, the Del Mar Handicap, in about 5 minutes or so, will be the John Mott International, which will be featuring Australia, who is going against older horses. He, of course, absent an Irish Derby winner, son of a Ouija board. And if you've been following racing for a long time, you know Ouija board won the 04 and 06 Philly and Mare Turf at Lone Star and at Churchill. Excellent filly. And she has a very good son who I don't think will come over for the Breeders' Cup this year. Because I think if he wins today, he will likely be arc bound. But could be a Breeders' Cup candidate in 2015 when Keeneland is up. And of course, his mom won her final race in Kentucky. So it'll be kind of nice to see if the son can repeat that. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if he does come over for the Breeders' Cup this year. So a lot going on this weekend. This is probably going to be the biggest weekend for preps outside of Super Saturday in September, and that's gonna be a crazy weekend as well. But as I said, that's it for now. I'll be back later with the personal ensign preview and a lot more later this week. So talk to you later. Bye.